tonight. Well, as myself, I'm 43 years old now, and I've been struggling for Indian rights since I was a teenager, treaty rights. And I think it's about time that the American citizens put pressure on their government and their elected officials to get them to start honoring all these treaties that they made with us, so that Indian people can move forward. We've spent billions upon billions of dollars fighting for treaty rights over the last 100 years, and the results are we haven't been successful. One of the reasons is because politicians don't pay attention to Indians because we don't have a voting power. I think we're about 1.5 million people in the United States, spread out all over the United States. So we don't have no voting power, so we can't get politicians to endorse us, to back us. So we need the non-Indian peoples of America to support us, to put pressure on their politicians. Well, I haven't been treated any worse than some prisoners have been treated. Some prisoners have been treated very, 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 very bad. I've been beaten for just passing off a sandwich when I wasn't supposed to, I guess, apparently. And my medical treatment has been very poor. I've lost my eyesight, 80% of my eyesight from my left eye. I have a torn cartilage on my right knee, which they refuse to fix. Of course, I'm locked up 24 hours a day. I'm not in a cell. I'm in population now. But locked up in prison. There isn't really anything nice, good to say about being locked up for 13 years. Except that I'm still alive.
And now for free Leonard Peltier. We are all doing time with the wisdom of the Native Americans, setting the record straight. Wanbli.
Thanks so much, Desert, for giving us this time again this evening.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Peace for Leonard.
He's still alive.
Yeah.
He's still alive. He's still alive. A very good piece you did there. Now he's still alive there in that iron house after 33 years. We want to ask everybody who's listening tonight to please help us support therealpublicradio.net. Go to their homepage. You'll find a place you can donate a little cash to help them pay the bills. We all have to pay bills, and we'd appreciate you helping them. Also, if you can, reach in your pocket and pull out a $5 bill or a $10 bill and send to the LPDOC, P.O. Box 7488, Fargo, North Dakota, 58106. That's the LPDOC, P.O. Box 7488, Fargo, North Dakota, 58106. We have activities coming up the rest of the year, and Ben Carnes, the architect of our plan for the rest of the year, will be on talking about them later. And they need help funding, and we also need help just paying the light bills and the phone bills and the rent there. So if you could, please reach in your pocket and send $5 or $10 to the LPDOC at P.O. Box 7488, Fargo, North Dakota, 58106. You shared that clip of us with Leonard. I'd like to share a few of Leonard's words before we get going here.
Absolutely.
It's one of his pieces he wrote. It's, I have no apologies, only sorrow. He says, I have no apologies, only sorrow. I can't apologize for what I haven't done, but I can grieve, and I do. Every day, every hour, I grieve for those who died at the Oglala firefight in 1975, and for their families, for the families of the FBI agents, Jack Holler and Ronald Williams, and yes, for the family of Joe Gilwright Stunts, a 21-year-old brave-hearted Indian whose death from a bullet at Oglala that same day, like the deaths of the hundreds of other Indians at Pine Ridge at that terrible time, has never been investigated. My heart aches in remembering the suffering and fear under which so many of my people were forced to live at that time. The very suffering and fear that brought me and the others to Oglala that day to defend the defenseless. For the loss to my own family, because in a very real way, I also died that day. I died to my family, to my children, to my grandchildren, to myself. I've lived out my own death for nearly a quarter of a century now. Those who put me here and keep me here, knowing of my innocence, can take grim satisfaction in their sure reward, which is being who and what they are. That's as terrible a reward as any I could imagine. I know who and what I am. I am an Indian who dared to stand up to defend his people. I am an innocent man who never murdered anyone nor ever wanted to. And yes, I am a sun dancer. That too is my identity. If I am to suffer as a symbol of my people, then I suffer proudly. I will never yield. Leonard Peltier. And Leonard hasn't yielded. In 33 years of wrongful incarceration, and 33 years of bearing a burden that a lying government has forced upon him, he has never yielded. He has never bent. He has never broken. No man has ever rode his back. He stands up, and like David Hill tells me all the time, a man can't ride your back if you're standing up. Leonard's standing up. And we need to stand up for him now. He'll do it for you. He's done it for you. He's done it for you. We have to do it for him now. This evening, we're going to talk about the plan for the rest of the year that was released today and the activities that will be entailed in that plan. In a few moments, I'm going to ask Ben Carnes to come on and talk about that. But first, I'd like to see if Kari Ann is there. Are you there, Kari? If you are, press *1.
Hello?
Hello, Kari. How are you doing this evening?
Fine. How are you?
I'm doing good for an old guy. You know me.
Thanks for having me on, Wanbli.
Well, thanks for coming on and visiting with us about Uncle. It's a real honor to have you on. People don't get to hear your voice often enough. And, you're the workhorse there at the office, and people don't know how much you do to keep this operation going. And I wanted just to let you have some time this evening to. You speak to Leonard quite frequently, don't you?
Yeah, I talk to him most every day.
Well, could you give us just a little report on how things are going with him and these days that we've been through? And
sure.
I appreciate it.
Sure. Well, first off, that piece that Desert Owl put on when he was speaking when he was, 43 years old?
Right.
Leonard was talking about voting power and putting pressure on politicians. Well, he still says that. He still says that till this day because it is important. And I think we all have, we all do have a position in the voting power and being able to vote. And I think one of the best things right now, and which my uncle talks about a lot, is the right to vote and how your vote counts. And we want to do what he wants to do, and what I think would be best is to talk with the tribal council and let them know that Uncle wants a home over there. Caprol's coming up. Hopefully he'll get there. And
you mean up Turtle Mountain?
Turtle Mountain, and that let people know and let the council know that the tribal members, their vote counts. I think maybe I'm going off a little bit, but he still talks about that to this day, voting power.
Well, and I assume that the tribal council at Turtle Mountain is a typical tribal council where everybody's vote does count.
Right.
But
I heard too that there's just a small percentage of the members there that vote. And I think that the people at Turtle Mountain really need to, I think that they've been heartbroken so long and for so many years with Leonard being imprisoned that they feel defeated. And they've wanted Leonard out for so long, and I kind of think they feel hopeless. I think that maybe if we were to give them a call and let them know, that they're very important in Leonard's freedom and with parole, and so he can go home there.
So our listeners could call Turtleman and give them encouragement, ask what they as an individual could do to help the people at Turtle Mountain to facilitate Leonard coming there if his parole comes through. So
exactly.
Everybody listening could do that, correct?
Exactly, yes.
Do you have the phone number available there, Kari?
Yeah, I do. It's 701-477-2600. Or they could write. They could even write, which at the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa Indians at P.O. Box 900, Highway 5 West, in Belcourt, North Dakota, 58336.
Could you give that phone number again, Kari?
Sure, 701-477-2600.
Is there anybody in particular they should speak to, or just whoever picks up the phone?
I think the first person they should ask for is Cindy Malataire.
Cindy Malataire?
Correct. And then Troy Dakota.
Troy Dakota.
Jim Baker.
Jim Baker.
Richard Marcelli. Richard Marcelli is a tribal chairman.
Richard Marcelli is the tribal chairman, okay.
Right.
And
what?
Well, Wanbli, real quick, Desert here in Florida. Just want to jump in. Looks, we may have record listeners tonight, and I noticed it kind of went off the counter. So if anybody's having any trouble, may maxed out with so many people, and if anybody got bumped or they're having a server problem, then get on the conference line. You're telling a friend to get on the website. He's saying he can't get on because it's got too many people on right now. Then just tell him to get on the conference line and give a number. It's 712-432-8773. Okay, 712.
And 432-8773.
Yeah, and the PIN number is 179-441 on the PIN number. Hit pound 179-441, and then pound, and then you're unmuted. Or excuse me, you are muted. Get on there, so *1 unmutes you, and you just state your first name and tell Wanbli where you're calling from. Wanbli.
Appreciate it, Desert. Appreciate it a whole lot. I'm glad we got a lot of people tonight.
You bet.
Gary, I know that there had been talk earlier of housing for Leonard, and I'm given to understand that it may be up to the people, our people listening actually, to help Turtle Mountain with this housing issue. So what we can also do when we call Turtle Mountain and talk to the people is ask them if the house is going to be an issue, how can we as individuals help to facilitate that?
I believe that they could find land for them.
Kari, hold your thought. And Wanbli, I need you to speak up. I boosted Kari Ann's oil, but I couldn't boost yours enough. So if you could just breathe deep and get close to that mic, please.
Is this any better?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Is that any better?
Absolutely. You're good to go.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay. So, if they can find land and Leonard's able to get out on parole, I just bet you all the people who love this man and who have respect for him for what he has done in his life will be able to come up with the funds needed to find him a lodge to live in to put on that land. So one more time, Kari, if you give that phone number up there.
701-477-2600.
That's great. So in your visits with Leonard, how's he feeling these days? I know you can't feel good. I've been in one of those places before, not for nearly as long, but you can't feel good when you're in there. But how's he doing after 33 years of being there?
He's anxious. He's very, very anxious to get out, He's got other brothers in there that they all have they know when they're going to get out. They all have a date that they are expecting to go home, and Uncle just doesn't have that. He's like floating in air, He's like, what's going to happen when he's got that 30-year law? That is a fact and it's a law, and how come that can't get him out?
It must be very frustrating to him.
Right.
And not to be able to get answers as to why things are happening. We're all trying to find answers. We're all trying to make the answers come forward. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to quit until he's home. We're not going to quit until we find the answers. Kari, what was the name of that tribal chairman up there again?
Richard Marcelli. Richard Marcelli, Marcellais.
Oh, okay. All right.
He's part of the Senate, too.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah.
So if people would contact them and ask for those people that you listed, that would be a great thing. I understand that some good news on Leonard's front is that they've allowed him to start getting good art supplies again. Is that correct?
That's correct, yep. And so he's putting a lot of time into that, and he's going to be sending us some paintings here this week. And so, yeah, and we're going to be having an art show in San Francisco, I want to say May 22nd. And so we're really, we're trying to raise funds to get him that trailer and to continue, being able to be in this office and work on getting him home.
Well, that's what all of our goal is, and our goal is getting home by his birthday so we can have a happy day at home instead of in there.
Yes.
Happy days are very important, especially when you get to be his age and my age. Those happy days everyone is a treasure. We look behind us, and there's a whole lot more behind us than we know that's in front of us. So, Kari,
and with the councilmen, there's 4 districts. And
go ahead.
In the Turtle Mountain Reservation, there's 4 districts, and there's 2 councilmen for each district. Now we have Leonard on 1 district, the waiting list for a trailer, and we need to have him on every district, so there's more room to figure out if there's land. See, because he's in District 2 on the list for a trailer, and if he was in District 1, District 2, 3, and 4, then the land would be more available.
Well, you think
there's more?
You think when people call up there, they should mention that?
Yes.
Ask to have him put on the waiting list in all 4 districts?
Yes.
Okay, anybody listening, please pay attention to that, because we are getting Leonard home, and home needs to be a place where he can sit down in his own house. And one of the things we have to do is to arrange this housing for him at Turtle Mountain. So the numbers Kari has given you and the people she has given you to contact, please contact them and ask them what we can do as individuals to assist them in this. Ask that he be put on the list in District 1, 2, 3, and 4. On the waiting list for land there. And also, Kari, if you would give that mailing address one more time, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. It's Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa Indians, P.O. Box 900, Highway 5 West, Belcourt, North Dakota, 58316.
Wanbli, this desert
Kari,
again.
I appreciate it.
Again, it's still, hold on, excuse me, Kari Ann. We're just want to, son of a gun, I got tripped over my own thinking down here. Anyway, if anybody wants to, make an announcement or whatever, please get on the conference line again. But if you want to do more than one song, Wanbli, like maybe, because I was thinking of Anime, and I think that's such a powerful song, and it's part of the saga. So if you want to do more than one break, let me know, because otherwise we'll do the one for Leonard. Okay, just want to add that because we don't have Skype yet, so.
You bet. You bet. Ben, are you out there? If you're out there, hit *1 and come in. Ben Carnes, are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Hi, Ben.
Ben?
Am I coming through clear?
Speak up a little bit louder, Ben.
Okay, hopefully this phone will work. I had to find a different phone for this call.
I got it boosted a little.
Fine. Sure is better than that motorboat one we had to be dealing with lately. Well, Ben Carnes is the architect of our plan for the rest of the year to bring Leonard home. It's our Aim for Freedom campaign. And I'm going to give Ben the phone right now and give him the line and let him go over this campaign with you. If you'll let him finish the campaign, if you have any questions, and you can ask questions after he's gone over this. Ben has put a lot of time in this, and I'm so very proud to have him as a brother working on this, and he's put a lot of work in it. So, Ben, we'll give it to you. Go ahead and tell us about this plan you put together.
Well, this plan, coincidentally, is 5 months long, and it's basically 2 stages within the first 5 months. And right now, we're still at like a low-intensity type of campaign, but from a lot of things that we've been doing, a lot of work that we have done, I noticed that a lot of people, however well-intentioned, have put information out and it's starting to spread our efforts really thin. Like White House phone campaign on Fridays. That is effective method for us. The attention on that at the White House. And but one thing that we've been looking at mostly, and according to Leonard wants a transfer. He says focus on the transfer. And so we looked at everything that we could, including the policy with the Bureau of Prisons. And Leonard has 16 points, so that makes him medium security. If he had 15, he'd go down to another level. So, we've been sending letters and asking, have him transferred to Sandstone or Oxford. But the problem is Sandstone is a minimum security prison, and he is not going to be transferred there. And Oxford, Wisconsin, is just a few hours away from the Mayo Clinic, because around 93, early 90s, Leonard had jaw surgery. He's supposed to have follow-up surgery, which has never happened. They tried to send him to the Springfield Medical Center, and he declined those services there because a lot of inmates call Springfield the butcher shop. They have lots of surgeries and less than quality care. So he didn't want to go take a chance there and have his jaw all messed up by some surgery there. So the best thing that we could figure is, since Leonard put in his request to staff August 20th to be transferred, he's been waiting. We've been writing letters to the Grand Prairie Designation Center, been writing letters to the director of the Bureau of Prisons, and we have to acknowledge that Leonard Peltier is a political hot potato. There's nobody that wants to sign their name on a paper that gives him any comfort or any relief from the confines of a maximum security prison. And with Eric Holder coming in, we all know that Holder had freed many of the Puerto Ricans and had supported many other things and had been involved in Peltier's case once before. And we believe, because Holder is the Attorney General, he is the boss of the Bureau of Prisons, the FBI, Justice Department, that we can get Eric Holder to send a letter of inquiry or a memo to the director, to the Grand Prairie office, that we may be able to pull off and get his move done. The number of people that we really trust and rely on, and they told us that the best way to do this is to write Eric Holder on a single issue, which is Leonard Peltier's transfer, and to state why we feel that Leonard's deserving of his transfer, and he is medium security status, and why we are bypassing normal procedures and going straight to Eric Holder. Oh, it's been 7 months since August, and all anybody ever got was a response that acknowledged receipt of the letter, and nothing's happened for Leonard. So it's going to take some subtle pressure to set things in place in which Leonard can be transferred. If we can get a little bit of ground with that, that's going to be good, because Leonard is held at Lewisburg. Lewisburg does not allow immediate interviews with its inmates. So if we can at least get Leonard to a medium security, then he'll be able to start doing some of the interviews, and he'll be able to participate in building this campaign. Because for the last 8 years, I was involved with the Peltier Month and did a lot of work in the D.C. area before Bush took office. And I know the feeling of disappointment, and I can imagine what Leonard felt too when Clinton left office and didn't sign his clemency. A lot of people felt betrayed. And at the time, I looked at the whole thing that happened, because I understand that somebody had talked to Bill Clinton and Hillary during their first campaign, and they said, we'll help Leonard as soon as we get in office. Well, when they got in office, they said, well, wait till the end of our term. Or towards the end of their term, they said, well, wait till we get reelected. And when they got reelected, they said, well, wait till we get to the end. I should have told everybody right then what was coming, that we was going to get brushed off. So the idea of this plan here is to slowly start developing our support, the support that we had in '99, the support that we've had several times before. The thing that makes this whole campaign so much different is that Leonard's going to be 65 years old on September 12th. And I remember me and Wanbli talking about this last year. And Wanbli made the vow and commitment that he's going to do all he can to be sure that Leonard gets out before his next birthday. And I remember thinking, boy, that's kind of ambitious, and how's that going to happen? And that's what I've been thinking and figuring out and talking to a lot of people, and pulling some pieces together and looking at how we can lay things out and build our momentum. Obama is a new president. He has a lot of issues that he's got to deal with, the economics, foreign affairs, and a lot of other stuff here. but I've seen them issue orders to close Guantanamo Bay, going to sign on to the United Nations Declaration recognizing the guy, I believe they were the gay people. And there's some other things he's done that's like not really popular, but it's encouraged me that he will do something for Leonard. And my feeling is that we need to give Obama the support he needs so that when he signs those papers for clemency, he can say this is the voice of the American people speaking, that they want Peltier out, they want Peltier home. And that's what we need to give to him, and this is the way we've developed this plan. One of the things that we have set aside is a Leonard Peltier Defense Offense Committee planning conference for July 4th and 5th, because we had made the promise to get Leonard out, and we decided that June 26th would be our cutoff date before we need to start escalating our actions and our activities and start getting more support out there. So we hope that Obama will meet with us before the 26th. If not, then we have several sets of plans to implement on June 26th, and that would also put us in stage 2. But right now, we need to extend our network, get all letters of the editors written, get our local community, our friends, our neighbors know something about Leonard's case. We need to get support groups out there as many places as possible to help us network and keep getting this work. I've been talking with some other people, and they have plenty of ideas on their own. So some people are waiting for the 26th so we can release what we're doing and step things up. And we've been talking with our friends in Europe and other places, and everybody still wants to see Leonard come home. There's no way that Obama is going to ignore the American people and the world and their demands and push for Leonard's freedom. So in this first stage, one of our plans is to try to set up a meeting with Obama for consideration or intervention. Our action in this transfer is medical needs, parole, withheld FBI records, and clemency. And I want to clarify at this point because, Leonard falls under a 30-year law, and from everything that we've read so far, there's no discretion that allows the Bureau of Prisons or anyone to deny Leonard release after 30 years on this life sentence. Because it states that he shall be released after 30 years, provided he has not been a disciplinary problem in the prison and that he is not a threat to society when he gets out. Without any of those guidelines, they have no reason to keep him in there. And then he also has his regular parole hearing. And what is going on with that is that the hearing examiner at Lewisburg is very much opposed to Leonard, and Leonard does not want to appear before the parole board at Lewisburg. And he has been told that he will be transferred because Lewisburg is being reorganized as a different type of facility. So while this window of opportunity is open, we need to get Leonard to immediate security through Air Coder, where he can at least, get phone calls. He can be maybe closer to his family and get a lot more done. Another thing that I want to point out is Kari and I both spent some time studying this policy and going over it, and stating that there's a rule that an inmate should be placed within 500 miles of his home. But when you look closer at the policy and read all of it, it only states that he would be assigned to a facility within 500 miles of his home if he is due for an immediate release. So until we can get him to parole off a 30-year sentence, get his transfers, we're not close to getting him to where he wants to be yet. But when we feel that we got headway coming in, that we're going to be able to do something. We listen to some other things that can be done, even like right now, the congressmen are under spring recess, and they'll be in their home state till the 19th. This is an opportunity for people to go and visit with their congressman. And even if you can't get an appointment, go out there in the hallway. He's got to come out and eat lunch at some point and walk with him down the hallway and talk with him about Leonard. If he gives a favorable reaction response, get the information that he needs. We're also calling for World Prayer Day for Leonard on April 18th, which is the anniversary of his conviction. So these are the things that we got planning for during stage 1. Stage 2 will kick off on June 26th, and I think a lot of people will be very excited about some of the ideas and plans that we have to make this happen. We have a couple other things listed there, special event with date and location to be announced and further action that to be announced. But we're kind of holding those up until we get to the June 26th. And the other thing I'm kind of anticipating too right now is that we might have somewhat of a special guest listening in to us today. His name is Ed Woods, and if Ed Woods wants to press *1 and come online so we can speak for a little bit, I'll reveal another part of our plan. But if he chooses to.
It would be nice to have him on.
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Woods, if you're out there, press 1 and come on and talk with us.
Because we just happened to find out yesterday, and I've had to make some amendments in this plan before I released it. But we found out that Ed Woods had subscribed to the LPDOC listserv and had found out that we were doing a show today and going to release the plan, so we know he's listening. So, he can at least come on and say what he's got to say, and we can say what we need to say, and then we can move on to the rest of this plan, because we know that the FBI has always twisted the stories around. They've told half-truths. They keep claiming that, witnesses saw Leonard with Peltier with an AR-15 rifle. Consular made that mistake during the trial. And I believe it was one of the young men that made a statement they saw Leonard with AR-15. But what happened was that this kid never testified. And when he got older, he recanted his testimony. But the federal agents, they keep saying, well, Leonard was seen by witnesses. Well, what witness is that? There has never been a witness who testified who actually saw him that did not recant their stories later. Every time we've worked on a campaign for Leonard, and I've been involved in one way or another since 1982. Got out in 1988, and by 1991, I was working as the national spokesperson for the Defense Committee. And I've had plenty of experience in watching how the FBI works and what they do. And even here in January, Joseph Trimble was so worried that Leonard was going to actually get freed by Obama that he wrote some more lies and half-truth and attributed some statement to Leonard that was never true, that he never said. Instead, it was made by some other people that the FBI had assassinated one of their leaders in Puerto Rico. But they claimed that Leonard had said, death to the FBI, and I looked for that statement. I could not find it nowhere. This seems their habit. So to me, the best way that we're going to deal with the FBI is that, and if Ed Woods is listening, you better take note. We've had a debate with the FBI before on Democracy Now! Well, now we're going to go ahead and issue a formal letter to Ed Woods, Joe Trimble, David Price, John Sennett, and others to engage in a public debate that we're going to have jurors and journalists to moderate. And we're going to try to, get all the congressmen to come and hear what has to be said. We'll force the FBI to stick to the truth, because all they've ever done is lie. But if we get it before people and we have the facts and the records to substantiate what we say, then they have nothing. They can accept this debate and we can move forward with it. Or they can just ignore us and not. Well, all I can ever say now is they had a chance to debate. They had a chance to put their side up there. If they want it, they need to accept it. In December of 2000, I was at the White House when the FBI agents did their protest in front of the White House. And I spoke with John Sennett, who was head of the Agents Association, and asked him if he would be interested in doing a public debate with the LPDC at the time. And he said, oh, we would love to. We'd love to have this debate. Well, if John Sennett still wants it, we're going to have it. We're going to issue it. We're going to find the people to back it, to support it. We're going to have it televised. We're going to try to get you and delegates to come and hear it, because the world has been behind Leonard. And this is time for the FBI to put up or shut up. They've been carrying this on for 33 years, and I'm sure they're all getting old and tired, and all the new agents that are coming up probably believe their propaganda. So they can get this for a debate and clarify these issues, because, they want to say things like they expected Mark's test, so that was Peltier's gun. Well, first of all, when Lynn Crooks tried the case, he said that the firing pin was too badly damaged to be tested. So they went to a lesser definitive test, which was to extract their marks. Well, during the appeals court hearing, when the ballistics report came out that there was a firing pin test done, Well, forget about the lie they told the jury and the judge that they couldn't do it. It was too damaged. He knew it had been done. He knew what the results were, and they were trying to hide that.
Well, and that's a place where
he's not very people.
He perjured himself on the stand.
Well, Lynn Crooks was a prosecutor, so he wouldn't actually be on the stand, but it was some of the other ballistics experts who said that nobody else had done the reports were the ones who got caught lying on the stand. And I don't know if people remember it, but in the late 1980s, the United States Supreme Court issued a ruling that it was okay for police officers to lie on a witness stand, provided they do it in good faith. So all of a sudden they figured these agents and these prosecutors done this in good faith, so it's okay if they lied. But, this is our opportunity, to get them out there. If they want to claim that Leonard did this, then prove it. Where's the evidence? They say there's a witness seeing him do this, we'll prove it. Where's the evidence? They have absolutely nothing. And they've intimidated and undermined so many of the efforts of the LPDC and the LPDOC that this is the time they're not going to get away with this. Okay, give me something to drink here.
You bet. Go for it, Ben. It's amazing that cartridge that they talk about being their prime piece of evidence, the broken chain with that cartridge, broken chains and evidence, that shouldn't have even been admitted in court, but the defense team made a mistake and allowed it to be admitted. That cartridge and the ballistics information, even on the extractor test, didn't have to be admitted because the chain of evidence on the cartridge itself was broken.
Yeah, that's another key point that people don't hear about or even realize. It's a chain of custody. If they can't establish who had this piece of evidence in their hand, how can they prove that it was not tampered with? Somebody, I think you brought it up a few weeks ago, and someone else had mentioned it before, that they had talked with ex-military people. Actually, ex-military, contacted them and stated they looked, read the case, studied it, and they found a shell case, and they said it's near to impossibility those shell cases could have fell into the gun. Because an AR-15, when it ejects its case, and has a trajectory that tosses it over the vehicle. And so we're going to try to have some people to do a reenactment and film and show where the shell cases would fly and where they would fall. Because that was the interesting point that was made to us by a military person.
Right.
We can get all this, before the people, get it before journalists, before well-known judges. We can have congressmen and their aides come and listen. We can have UN delegates, foreign ambassadors, diplomats to come and listen. That they can hear it from themselves. And there's no way that the FBI is going to win this one. It's over for them. That's why I believe that Peltier will be home before his birthday, along with all the other activities that we are going to do. Because when we got started back in September trying to help rebuild the support, there are a lot of people that didn't know what to do, didn't think anything could happen. And as we started watching the election, and when Obama got in, you could actually feel the difference. You could feel the change. You could hear the hope that something is going to happen this time. So we've been doing, as a defense committee, we've been doing all that we can to try to pull all these things together, to set out a good plan that's consistent and that just keeps building upon each other. We have a lot of support in Europe, a lot of support in the Soviet Union. And I've been in contact with people in those countries there, and they're happy. They're excited that something's coming out. We had hoped to release this plan back in February 6th when we had the event up in Boulder. But this thing had come up that, just threw a plan off. Because last thing we had expected was Leonard to be transferred to another maximum security, let alone get beaten. That kind of changed some things and helped us change our plans. Now that we have him back at Lewisburg, and he's still eligible for a transfer because Lewisburg is being reorganized as a different type of facility. We can't let that go. And so one of the things I want everybody to do is to work with us and focus and direct our efforts in the directions that we're looking at.
That's important to be able to tell everybody who's helping. So let's all follow the same path. If we're using, if we all have different ideas and we're working piecemeal on different ideas, it lessens the impact of all the power we have as people. But you and I were talking, and we need everybody who is working for Leonard to get on board and follow the path the LPDOC is taking and increase the power of the effort. If we have all the, because there's, like you said, there's people all over the world pulling for Leonard, but people are pulling in their own way. Would you expand upon that, Ben?
Well, I mean, the things that we're doing here is like keeping all of this to the Attorney General. You know, don't need to bother him about the clemency, about the 30-year-long parole, because, you know, if we operate on that 30-year parole, then there would be a habeas corpus action that would go straight to the courts and something could be done about it. But what we need is something to get movement. And we need to get Leonard out of Lewisburg to where he's at a different facility and where he can start, you know, doing his interviews and people can go see him and meet with him.
Yeah. Let's take a little break. And we'll come back in just a moment, okay?
Sure.
Let you get a breath.
Okay.
Something to drink.
Wanbli, any closing thoughts?
We're just going to play you some. No, let's just take a little break, let everybody get something to drink, Desert, and come back in 2 or 3 minutes.
You bet. We got a song coming up for Leonard, and you're tuned in to Free Leonard Peltier. We are all doing time with the wisdom of the Native Americans, setting the record straight. Right here every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with Wanbli and friends and family of Leonard Peltier, the #1 political prisoner in the world. I'm Desert Owl. Glad you're tuned in. Hope you're telling your friends. You need stories, and I don't see Leonard's story in there. And so I hope everyone will check it out, because they also study the law and different aspects of law, and so consider it a possible clearinghouse for information and tell them that I'm a sponsor now for over 13 years. The Americans Bulletin newspaper. Thank you, editor and publisher Robert Kelly. Please go to the website americansbulletin.com. That's Americans with an S, because there's more than one of you out there. Americansbulletin.com, or call 541-779-7709. That's 541-779-7709. Don't leave any stone unturned, and thank you for your support. Tell Robert I sent you, Desert Owl, because the time is short, and if you're supporting the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network, member-supported, then you get 25% off the subscription at the Americans Bulletin newspaper, and you get 10% off from their catalog, okay? Plus you get to feel good about supporting free speech and hang out with a lot of great people. The best people on earth, in fact, are a part of the RealPublicRadio.net, America's #1 radio network, Free America Radio Network, and we're trying to make it a better world, and we're having a special programming tonight for Free Leonard Peltier, okay? So we are all doing time with the wisdom of the Native Americans, because these people, the truth, if the truth be known, and you know about culture and you know about spirituality, these were the best people on earth. And the Europeans, I don't even know a good word for them, peons. You know, there you go. They labeled them what they really were anyway, peons, because they came over here with their secret societies and their Jesuit power and the Catholic Church and then all Anglican churches and all the Protestant churches and everything, and they do what they want to do. They're having a party on the Vatican. And behind it all is the nobility that have been ruling the world from the beginning. And now back to Wanbli. I think he's got something to say.
It's a good lead-in, Desert.
Okay.
Before we get back to what's going on, I wanted to share some more words of Leonard's. We have to remember that Leonard Peltier is a man. He's not a cause. He is a man, like all men are. He's a human being. And he has feelings. He has aches and pains and hurts. I want to share a few more of his words with you, because above all, he's an Indian man.
And please speak up, Wanbli. We are real low tonight, and I'm trying to boost you. I can't.
Okay.
Thank you.
The title of this piece of Leonard's is Aboriginal Sin. We each begin in innocence. We all become guilty. In this life, you find yourself guilty of being who you are. Being yourself. That's aboriginal sin, the worst sin of all. That's a sin you'll never be forgiven for. We Indians are all guilty of being ourselves. We're taught that guilt from the day we were born. We learn it well. To each of my brothers and each of my sisters, I say, be proud of that guilt. You are guilty only of being innocent, of being yourselves, of being Indian, of being human, your guilt makes you holy. Those are the words of this man we're fighting for. That's the heart of the man we're fighting for. That is his spirit. We need to bring our spirits up to his level and fight for him the way he would fight for us. So dig in and help us here, my friends. And I'm going to ask Ben. Ben, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Would you like to go ahead and...
Yeah, that guy...
You
sure. Yeah, I just got one email from somebody in the Netherlands, Rotterdam.
Okay.
And she asked me, she says, my question is, can we do international demonstration on a date at the same day? The one thing they hadn't got to was the June 26th. That's when the Oglala commemoration ceremony do their event up there in Pine Ridge.
Right.
Well, we're also calling it International Day of Solidarity. But the problem we have with that is that the 26th falls on a Friday, and some people won't be able to organize and get more of an impact till Saturday. And I think that works out fine because we will release our plans and our call on the 26th. And that way our supporters, our friends who organize something for the 27th on that Saturday can get the information and help to relay it again the next day. So yes, we're going to start doing demonstrations and different types of actions starting from June 26th. Because it's what we're going to need to do where we live to bring attention to Leonard's case. We do peaceful protests. And I want to clarify. Whether our approach is peaceful or loud, we need to always be dignified. We're not into destruction of property. We're not into assault of police officers or other people, or being a nuisance or problem to other people. We need to educate them, and that's something I've done since 1982 when I first learned about Leonard and read the book. In December of '85, Standing Group was transferred to the Oklahoma State Penitentiary where I was, and I learned a lot more about Leonard's case. Got out, was involved in speaking on prisoners' rights. Traveled, met a lot of people. Met David Hill, talked a lot about Leonard's case, and it was David Hill who brought me into the Peltier Defense Committee in 1991. And at that time, it was like, when I went to prison, I was just a troublemaker. I wasn't going out to nothing. And for some reason, in reading Leonard's story, for many of us, many Indian guys in prison, even children, we had somebody we could identify with. Leonard, never gave up being a warrior. He never gave up being an Indian. He didn't go into prison to be a convict or to play those games. He stayed who he was. And for a lot of us, he gave us something to look up to. The values of being a traditional person, the beauty of our ceremonies. And so for a lot of us, I've talked to many other ex-cons about him. They said when they heard about Leonard's case and what he had done, they looked at their own lives and the things they had done and why they were in prison, and they see something so much different about Leonard. And Leonard was not there, dying over a piece of asphalt over some turf wars. The land is the life of the people. The people are the ones who asked Leonard and Dennis and those guys to come jumping bulls. Leonard didn't have to. He could have took off and went on a vacation. He went back to Oregon, Washington, and started a body shop again. But he knew what the consequences were. He knew that the people were afraid. And when he was a young man, he made that vow and that commitment that he was going to do what he can to stop the oppression and the power to his people. He was living out his commitment when he went to Oglala. He didn't go there and say, no good, we get to have a shoot out the feds and not get to kill a couple. Nobody goes into those kind of things with that type of mentality. If they had kind of idea, that type of illusions of a shootout with agents, then they got a death wish. That was what Leonard was there for. He was there to protect people and help people.
You mentioned David Hill. David, you out there anywhere? Because he was supposed to come join us. David, if you're there, hit *1. I guess he lost his telephone again. Go ahead, Ben.
That's just the idea what my involvement in this case for Leonard has been long for almost 28 years now. And having the opportunity to work on this plan, speaking with David, with Kari, Chief Kari Ann, and so many other people about different things, it came down that we are going to do the same thing we've done before, but we'll do it in a different style and different format So when you start one thing going, it pushes another thing into place that seems will have a domino effect. It's just like, you know, a spark that sets a prairie on fire. You know, that's the only way I could ever describe what we're getting ready to do, is to build us up. Because, you know, we have people with the treaty council who are looking at them joining in and helping us with what we've got going. Been getting messages from other people in Italy, France, other parts of the world. I got talked to a woman in Moscow, and she said the people there are very much still aware of Leonard Peltier and still want to support his freedom. So I believe that we're poised, that within the next 5 months, we can turn this whole thing around. And I do believe that Leonard can be home before his birthday.
Well,
so
I've got an email here also, Ben, from Sweden. A lady is asking, what started the reign of terror, and why were there such a heavy FBI presence on the reservation? Do you want to go into that?
The FBI gained their counterintelligence program, which was created by Richard Hill Sr., and they used the counterintelligence program against Martin Luther King, but also most notably against the Black Panther Party. And what they had done to the Black Panther Party was criminal and immoral, because, you know, they had wiretaps, they knew what they were planning, different ideas, and so before you guys could reveal their plans to each other or somebody else, the feds would write an anonymous letter and say that so-and-so is a Fed, he told these people about this plan, and we're getting ready to arrest you guys for doing this or that. And they caused people to get killed within the Black Panther Party. They caused people to be discredited and to be, you know, isolated from their own people. And by the time the Indians that went to Washington, D.C. in 1972 for the Trail of Broken Treaties, they had assurances and promises from, I think, a couple of Nixon's aides that they would meet with them and discuss their grievances. Well, as the Indians got to Washington, D.C., the government reneged on their word, and President Nixon pretty much said, get those goddamn Indians out of there. And next thing you know, we have the occupation of Bureau of Indian Affairs. And when the Native people left there and started going back to reservations, you know, they wouldn't go to Pine Ridge. Well, Dick Ruffin was chairman at that time, and he was opposed to any type of celebration after the occupation of the BIA. And at the same time, the FBI had pretty much neutralized the Black Panther Party at that time, had all their people dead in prison or awaiting trial, or they were fugitives on the run. They turned their attention to the American Indian movement, and within a few years, our people were dead. They were on the run, facing trial, or in prison for something they had not done. And they also started creating this whispering campaign, which they started discrediting each of our people, our key people. And, you know, this whole thing with, you know, John Graham going to trial, Otto Lockenclaw, and if people want to say that's justice, if they get convicted, I totally disagree. Because it's been documented, people know that Special Agent David Price told Anime and Quash that she did not cooperate with him in identifying Peltier and locating her, that she would be dead within a year, and within a year she was dead. And it's ridiculous to try 2 Indian men for her murder, but yet David Price does not stand trial for participating in that murder. Because it was the FBI's, their activities, their methods that created all that suspicion that started eating the American Indian movement from the inside out. And they know that we know this, and this is one of the reasons we believe they do not want to release all those FBI records and files, because they have had informants, undercover agents, provocateurs, infiltrating the defense team. If they had went into the defense team with privy to attorney-client privileges, then that trial is no good. You know, it's something they want to keep hidden. Because I remember Lynn Crooks, the prosecutor in Leonard's case, had stated that this was a garden variety type of murder. There's nothing special about him. But yet when the defense committee and the attorneys asked for a copy of all these FBI records withheld, we can't do it. It's because of national security. Where is national security still relevant after 33 years?
On a crime,
I don't believe it.
Occurrence that took place on Pine Ridge. You know, they're holding now, according to Mike Kuzma just a few short weeks ago, Mike said they're holding over 145,000 pages of documents relating to Leonard, and he said most of them, if I'm not mistaken, he said were the end file, I got that right, and that file is mainly paid informants. So what you're saying is absolutely right, Ben. They don't want us to know. They don't want the world to know how many paid informants they had or where they were working, if they had infiltrated the defense team in any way. And they don't want their own culpability in the death of Anna Mae to come out, or their own culpability in the death of their own two agents and the murder of Joe Stuntz. These documents are withholding for national security. It's laughable. They're withholding it to keep themselves from being charged. And as soon as we get Leonard home, that's going to be one of our main pushes to push that investigation of that reign of terror and the withholding his documents to have the people who committed crimes against our people got away with it because they could hide their own files. We're going to have them prosecuted.
Yeah, because the thing with this public debate with the FBI, that if they somehow agree to debate with us, and we can get congressmen, other people to listen in, and we can expose them for the liars that they are, I really hope that we can parlay that into getting a congressional investigation at the FBI and COINTELPRO. And I think if we can get all the activities they have done revealed, how they overextended their responsibilities as law enforcement, but would be honest to the criminal area, I think you could see a lot of revisions of the Patriot Act and all these other laws that's come up. You know, I would call it the emergent police state. If we can destroy the FBI with what they have done in Leonard's case and other people's, we could probably save a lot more people from undergoing the same thing that Leonard has done. Because I remember when the Twin Towers went down, I was working with a group of kids and they were doing land reoccupation. And when I seen those buildings go down, I told them, I said, we need to stop everything we're doing now and see what they're going to do. Otherwise, you know, they can start yanking us up, designate us as terrorists, and we won't have the right to your attorney or a phone call or nothing. We'll disappear. And as it is, they have actually passed those kind of laws, and they're still trying to pass more laws to make it really difficult. You know, I don't see this country being a free country anymore now when you have the Real ID Act, home radicalized violence, homegrown terrorism act that they've been working on. You know, I just only see things getting worse. And for us, you know, Leonard is a human being. He is a man, but he's also come to symbolize, you know, the oppression that we have faced, you know, through the forces of the government. And we feel that if we can bring Leonard out, we can turn the tide on all this. We can turn things around. You know, even with Obama stating recently that he wants to have Native people, the First Nations, to have a seat in the United Nations, to have a voice. You know, that's mind-blowing. You know, we've got several hundred First Nations in this country. If they all go to the United Nations is going to be outvoted. You know,
the amazing thing about that is we're the only people in the world that aren't represented in the United Nations. Every race in the world is represented in the United Nations except our people. Everyone.
Yeah. So when this lady asked me, you know, about demonstrations and things that they can do, you know, I just want people to understand, you know, that these demonstrations, these activities we take, is not only just for Leonard, but for ourselves and for our children and our grandchildren. Because, you know, for all the years I've been involved with Peltier's case, and when I completed my pro in 1991, you know, I knew, you know, feds were watching. I knew they were listening. But in 2000, when I was trying to organize some activities in Washington, D.C. before the inauguration, I began to have the FBI agents coming to where I lived in a small town in southern Maryland and asking neighbors about me. You know, they didn't hide, but they just wanted to know that they were watching me. You know, they have their own ways of trying to intimidate people. And the thing is, you know, the FBI knows that I am not easily intimidated. If nothing else, they try to intimidate me, then I'll push back harder. Because I know that Leonard did not kill those agents. I know that Leonard did not receive a fair and just trial. You know, that's what these some of these politicians like Dorgan responded to, that Leonard's trial was fair and just. Well, who told them that? It was probably someone from the Justice Department. You know,
and, you know,
on
the fairness of the trial, you bring that up. There's big differences in the trial that the FBI recognized, and they were going to make sure that the same trial that happened with Bob and Dino didn't happen with Leonard. And big differences that they decided to attack. In Bob and Dino's trial, there were very few autopsy photos of the agents allowed to be seen by the jury. In Leonard's trial, all the autopsy photos were entered into evidence, plus the FBI Academy graduation photos of the two agents. In Bob and Dino's trial, the FBI agent Gary Adams testified to the presence and departure of a red pickup truck at 2:18 p.m. moments after the agents were shot. In Leonard's trial, the same agent denied the existence of that red pickup truck. So in those trials, he lied. In Bob and Dino's trial, extensive FBI 302s were allowed to be entered into evidence, and the 302s are the FBI's personal notes that they make when they're doing their investigation. The FBI analysis of this was the court rulings forced the government to furnish the defense with all 302s prepared by special agents who testified for the government. In Leonard's trial, no 302 were entered into evidence. In Bob and Dino's trial, witnesses told of FBI coercion in obtaining their testimony. In Leonard's trial, FBI coercion of important defense witnesses was not allowed to be presented to the jury. In Bob and Dino's trial, the defense was allowed to present testimony on the number of unsolved murders on Pine Ridge, the reign of terror. In Leonard's trial, the defense was allowed to talk of unsolved murders occurring in Pine Ridge only in a general sense, and were not allowed to exhibit evidence of the FBI's creation of the reign of terror. In Bob and Dino's trial, history of FBI misconduct was allowed in testimony. No evidence regarding the past history of FBI conduct was allowed in Leonard's trial. In Bob and Dino's trial, the legal team and the defendant's supporters held frequent meetings and rallies in an effort to educate the public about the June 26 event. A national press blackout existed, but local press carried daily related articles. In Leonard's trial, the judge ordered that only news carried about Peltier could come from the courtroom. Defense lawyers and potential witnesses were not allowed to speak publicly about the trial. In Baldino's trial, the jury wasn't sequestered, and in Leonard's trial, the jury was sequestered under complete control of U.S. Marshals. We have two separate trials for the same occurrence, and there was no fairness in the second trial. And that's what you said. These people say that Leonard's not in a fair trial. He got anything but a fair trial. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Ben, but that just always gets on my nerves when I hear that fair trial garbage.
Well, it does, and this reign of terror that we were talking about, as we said, that was AIM coming in, supporting the traditionals. And as Dick Wilson, I believe he used like $50,000, $75,000 from a highway fund to hire his own vigilantes that, everybody called the Goon Squad. And, the Goon Squad was responsible for a number of deaths and a number of crimes of violence. I believe William Muldrow, who was head of the U.S. Civil Rights Commission in Denver, was present on the Pine Ridge during one time that Dick Wilson's goons and some tribal police officers went and firebombed some houses and shot up the town. William Muldrow, I believe, is the one who called the FBI to report it, and the FBI told him that they are not a law enforcement agency, they are a after-the-fact investigative agency. And William Muldrow went on record and made statements to this effect several times. So this reign of terror was basically a civil war between the Public Tribal Council and the traditional people. And during that time, numbers have been as high as 60 or more were murdered and no investigations. The FBI had tried to come and say that these deaths were not related, that were ridiculous, but Ward Churchill disproved them. And just to show how bad it is that they created this whole scenario, this climate of fear and terror, is that these two agents, Cole and Williams, when they brought them in, they went to go to where the Jumping Bulls were. And when they were killed, they always do inventory of the vehicles. And I believe you can find the attorneys talking about this in the film Anime Bravehearted One. The attorney said in the inventory records there was indication that the agents had a map, and the map had arrows pointing where there were bunkers and trenches. And in reality, that these bunkers were nothing more than cave-in root cellars, and the trenches were nothing more than natural erosion of the soil. But they gave these two agents the impression that they were going against a heavily fortified position against American Indians who had been trained by communist insurgents and armed with AK-47s. You know, they went in expecting a fight. They behaved differently and initiated a fight that got them killed. Because they were there at Oglala a few days before Peltier and these guys were looking for Jimmy Eagle. And they were told that Jimmy Eagle was not there because Jimmy was still drinking and they have a rule of sobriety. So he wasn't welcome there.
Well, the day before when they were out looking for Jimmy, they were actually they were riding around with DIA police, one each car.
You know, and the charge they were looking for Jimmy Eagle for was stealing a pair of boots. So they're hard investigating theft of boots, but they wouldn't do nothing about the investigation of these murders. And we got somebody on the line.
Hey, Ben, it's Linda in Virginia.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Listen, before you run out of time, been listening, and you know, there's a lot of people out there that have been supporters of Leonard for a long, long time that may have been scared off. You know, we talk about all the coercion and the manipulation of evidence and witnesses, and you know, some people are just scared to get involved, but I think we need to remind ourselves every day that what happened to Leonard and what still happened to Leonard could be any one of us, any one of the people that we love and care about. And I think there also may be some people out there listening that were involved with LPDC over the years and had personal conflicts with people or about the way things were being done. And I think it's a new day that Leonard families involved and people that have known Leonard for a long time have rallied again and come back together and are putting together a plan of action. And I'd just like to encourage everybody to get involved again, put your personal feelings aside, and remember that it could be you, or it could be somebody you love, your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your uncle, your aunt. And just get in touch with LPDOC and get instructions for what you can do, because you said it, we need to all be on the same page. But we all need to be doing something. And that's all.
Well, we need more and more support groups formed every day. We have to have more support groups around the country. That's one thing Ben has been asking for is, please, if you're listening to us and you want to help, go to whoisleonardpeltier.info, and there's a page up the top says group support. Click that and it'll take you how to the support group page and get a support group formed.
Hey,
we'll help you every step of the way, every bit of the help you need.
Wanbli, Desert here in Florida at the studio. You know, and you hear you got a public radio forum. I actually got two, but you know, to produce your agenda and put it out there on the radio each week, so people that want to follow through, you know, can know what to do or what's being planned, and you know, so to have them know that that's the contact point. You know, rather than call and keep the phones ringing all the time, they can have one contact point to get updated on all the agenda.
Correct. That's right.
Yeah.
They can do that. They come to Real Public Radio and hear what's going on. I've got an email here from England, from Trevor in England, and he says he's on the phone listening because it seems like the server is just full. He can't make the link work anymore.
Oh.
And he said I had to call in. That's no problem for me,
yeah.
But how many others can't call in? More people will be joining in the fight for truth here in the UK, and to get a great man freed. Thank you, Trevor in London.
Hey, Trevor, thank you.
Some internationals. You bet, Trevor.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being there. I also have an email from Redtown Radio asking about why Leonard hasn't had his parole hearing yet. And Ben, you touched on that already, but Leonard doesn't want to be taken to a parole hearing in Lewisburg because the facilitator there is not friendly to Leonard, and so he's going to wait till he gets transferred. And it's one of the reasons, that is the main reason to get this parole hearing going. We need to get Leonard transferred.
Wanbli, let me just jump in and say that coming up next, we're delayed tonight. We got a delayed broadcast because we're given extra time. Remember, we're to Real Public Radio, okay, realpublicradio.net and therealpublicradio.net, and we are making extra airtime available for freeing Leonard Peltier. As far as I'm concerned, this is Leonard Peltier's network if he needs it, and so we're here to participate in the action of bringing public awareness to his plight and then pro-action, you know, through doing certain positive efforts with you know, constructive means. Okay, so give your support. But we've got the attorney ex-attorney coming up next, he threw away his shingle because he knows what Leonard is all about. Okay, that's why he threw his shingle away. He don't want to be a perverted liar. The FBI agents all have to be an attorney first. This is such a black eye for them. If it were me, I'd want to let Leonard go and just say, be done with it, man. I don't want to hear about it anymore. Leonard go on and live out the rest of his life. They go on and be the scum that they are, but at least it wouldn't make him look so bad because this is perfect. To view what these people are really all about. We know that they burned to death 100 people at Waco, and that they shot Randy Weaver's son, his arm off, shot him in the back, shot his wife in the head with a bullet while she's holding a baby. Religious people, spiritual people that were modest and conservative. Then look at what they all did. Of course, the same group of people, the Masonic Order, Secret Society, Secret Handshake Club, the Vatican, all did to the Native peoples from the beginning. 500 years of hell. As they said, the war started with Columbus, and there's been a war for 500 years, and most people haven't figured it out, who's doing it and how it's being done, and how the people are dying and being kidnapped and raped and pillaged right before their eyes still today. And it's still going on. And
but we're still here.
Yeah.
Am I on?
You're on.
I'm supposed to be unmuted. Yeah, I need to ask a question.
Well, state your first name. Where are you calling from?
Wanbli. Hi, Ben. This is Janessa. I've been writing Amnesty International, and I'm a bit perturbed. I haven't gotten really a response, and I'm looking at I'm on Amnesty International's USA.org news and report right now. There's several things that are calling for accountability and human rights and transparency on improper detentions. If there ever was a case that was an improper detention, then we need to call for that. We need transparency in those documents.
Then hasn't Amnesty issued a statement about Leonard in the past?
In 2006, it's the last one I found.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think once most of the next direct appeals was done, they had to recognize him as a political prisoner. And when I was talking to David Hill the other day, he said a long time ago, he want justice for Peltier. Well, I know there's no way, no amount of money, no amount of apologies is going to give Peltier justice for 33 years of his life that he's lost. The people who's died, that his family, his relatives, his friends, almost everybody's going to be gone when he comes out. And when Lynn Caldwell, she brought up a good point, because I talked to some friends when we got back involved again about rejoining the committee, and some had their hearts broken when Clinton left office. And as human beings, we're not born with interpersonal communication skills or conflict resolution abilities. And the only thing I can add to this, that never trust the internet. You don't hear a person's voice. You don't hear the inflections in it. You may not see the smile, the anger on a person's face. You never take anything personal that's read over an email message or online. Because I know a lot of people's taken out of context, and friendships and even families have been split apart by that. But the thing that I want to point out is that we are here for a common purpose. That is to bring Leonard home. And we do need everybody. And we do need everybody to work with us and stay on point and stay with the plan. But that is not saying that if you got an idea, you got a thought, right, let us know. Let us work it over, and obviously we can use it, but we need to work together. We'll have to come up with independent actions.
And you can contact Ben directly at Ben Carnes at eaglecouncil.com. That's Ben Carnes, C-A-R-N-E-S, at eaglecouncil.com. That's his direct email. And if you can also go through whoisleonardpeltier.info. You can write me directly at Wanbli, W-A-N-B-L-I, at evtc.com. If you have questions, you have ideas, throw them up to us. Let us see if we can fit them into what we're doing. We're a few people. We don't have all the ideas in the world, but we want all of our focus to be centered around one thing, and that's getting Leonard home with one plan we're all working on in concert. And I think maybe getting back, as Janessa said, maybe we need to get back at the amnesty pretty quick, in force.
I have definitely been trying, and I get phone calls. I guess you're right. You've made a valid point. Sending an email is definitely not working. And so I think, maybe contacting other people that have more pull, like writing to Amy Goodman, might actually do a little more good than myself even, reminding Amy, she's done interviews and she's very well aware of what is going on. Perhaps she can get some more action. I'd like to see Leonard on some of the petitions at the festivals. There's thousands of festivals going on all over the United States right now, and Amnesty International has booths set up. They have those booths set up. A lot of those petitions have to do with things that are happening overseas. I'd like to see Leonard's petition there at every booth, at every festival, at every Amnesty International, setup.
Okay, friends, you hear this. It's a very good, solid idea. Wake up tomorrow morning and contact Amnesty. Contact by email, contact by phone. Let's get Leonard back on their radar scope. He's been off too long. Janessa's got a great idea. Let's get them to apply pressure. We need pressure coming from everywhere. The more pressure we come up with now, and I can't tell you really and truly how critical the next 5, 6, 7 weeks are. The next 5, 6, 7 weeks, we can do this if we come up with concerted pressure. And this can be done. So get on your phones tomorrow morning, on your computers, contact Amnesty, put Leonard in their ear. Do it every day until you get some kind of response.
Wanbli. Yeah, because we can also contact
I think I heard David. Is that David?
Yeah.
Hey, David. Welcome, my friend.
Other things. One of the things I wanted to respond to, and a lady touched briefly on it, was, the reign of terror started with, actually I think Desert Owl touched on it, the reign of terror started with Columbus, and it hasn't changed. And a lot of people look at Leonard's situation as maybe the end-all of situations, but it's not. We have a poverty level that's the worst in the country. We have a suicide rate that's the worst in the country. We have educational problems that are the worst in the country. And a lot of people think because of the advent of casinos that some large measure of problem has been solved is based on money. Well, if poverty is a problem, money is not the answer. The answer is education, a rebuilding of social programs, social atmosphere, culture. The reign of terror has been ongoing for over 500 years now. And, corporations that wanted our resources, there's people now that want our history, they want our culture. In fact, the other day in a restaurant, some guy told me he wished he had my appetite. But,
Sorry, that was good.
It's something that we all have to deal with, and to people out there listening, there's a lot of people out there that probably listen and think, what could they do? If you just speak up and have a voice, that's something. But, the election of Obama was based on change. And if Obama doesn't free Leonard Peltier, I guarantee there's no real change, because freeing Leonard Peltier is going to require him to step up to the plate in a meaningful way. And he stepped up to the plate verbally on a few things. I think he brought about the resignation of one of the CEOs of Chevrolet, General Motors or something. But freeing Leonard Peltier would truly be stepping up to the plate, and it would truly be a step in the right direction to start to try to right some of the wrongs against American citizens. This isn't just an Indian issue, Leonard's case. It's a constitutional issue. It's a judicial issue. And this thing about informants and so forth, the government, the FBI is becoming the KGB of America. And people need to define who they are, define what they are. Freeing Leonard Peltier will be a defining moment. But like Ben said, there's never going to be any justice where Leonard's case is concerned. They need to free him and free America from that blight and that continued program they have of if they can't get who they want, they get who they can by any means necessary. Leonard Peltier has lost more than one lifetime in there, and they can't replace that. But they can sure start trying to make some kind of amends toward the man and toward the rest of American citizens.
You know, David, talking about Obama stepping up to the plate on our National Day of Prayer coming up on the 18th for Leonard, one of the things we want to do is pray for, first of all, Leonard's safety in prison and pray for his quick release. We also want to pray for Obama to do the right thing. And prayer is a very powerful thing. If we all set our hearts to prayer the way that we know how to pray, and pray that Obama does the right thing. That's all that's required, is doing the right thing. And if he, an American president, like you said, can step up and do the right thing, we will see real change in this country. If this man can't do it, then we all are in for some very hard times. But I think prayer for Obama to step up and do the right thing is so important this coming Saturday, to give him the strength, the prayerful encouragement to do the right thing in Leonard's case. And the right thing is to set him free. The right thing isn't to move him around or to tell him maybe. The right thing is to step up to his desk and say, that man Leonard Peltier, I'm going to lunch. When I come back, I want papers drawn up where he will be set free. And that's what this prayer day is about. So join us on that day, my friends, and pray for Leonard. And pray for the president to have the strength.
And I think we're in for some really hard times myself, Wanbli, you know, and as far as I'm concerned, they can execute all those prisoners right in their cells right now, and they have a method for doing it. But for the people to realize that there's actually a cell waiting for them right now, ought to be some motivation to want to get involved in the movement for freedom, because this is your last opportunity, basically, if there ever was one.
Well, Desert, you know, we've always understood. Ben has, David, myself, we've always understood that freeing Leonard, if our people can step up and free Leonard, when our people step up and free Leonard, we will be freeing all of our people. We will be freeing our grandchildren and our children from fear of false arrest.
Future generations,
That's right. They will not be afraid to step up and themselves speak up for what is right.
Yeah, see, I've always done this.
Something we understand.
Yeah, I've always done this for my daughter, Wanbli. That's why I'm doing this today. My daughter has been my motivation from the beginning. You know.
You bet. You bet. Desert, I think we're probably getting close to the end of our time.
No, actually, Eddie Harmon gave us to the top of the hour. Then he's going to come on. So we got another. We're going to close with a song from Anime Lee. Anime, thank you. And that'll be at the top with about 4 minutes to the top, or 5 minutes. I think it's a 5-minute song. So right in the last 5 minutes, that's 10 up to 5 of, where you can wrap up with your thoughts. All right, but you're good.
All right, David, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to share. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I misunderstood you. Anyway, it's real important that everyone gets involved, that everyone becomes part of it. And one of the foundations of the American Indian movement, of Indian people, is our connection with the earth, our spirituality. And there's a lot of people out there that are really engrossed in being ecologists now. And I think a lot of them don't realize that we are a complete people who have been ecologists from the very beginning to the very end. We still practice, that we live in harmony with the great spirit of Mother Earth, your fellow man, respect your brother's vision. And what made America great and what made America different is they adopted some of the teachings of Indian people. The Constitution is a copy of Six Nations Zero Confederacy law, And now this country is trying to abrogate that agreement with the people, a little bit at a time, a little bit here, a little bit there, And our people found these truths to be self-evident, through generations. And our people had learned to live in such a way that, the earth was allowed to renew itself every spring. And if we had adopted some other philosophy, there would have been no reason for the people of Oglala to ask for Leonard Peltier or anybody else to come help them. All they had to do was throw in the towel and become part of the system. This system still owes the Oglala people, the Sioux people, to the return of the Black Hills. They leased that land from them for 99 years. The lease is up. That is their land. And this country is still doing that sort of thing. And they have not released that land. England leased Taiwan, and they returned it. You know, and I know that they have some political differences over there between Taiwan and China, but the fact is, England kept their word. America has not kept its word with our people, with its own people, through the Constitution. And I really have a lot of hope for Obama. He talks a good race, and I respect the man, and I respect the man for taking on, you know, the challenges of his office. But what would impress me and really show me that there'll be a difference is if he frees Leonard Peltier, then I can see perhaps some change coming. But there's also karma. This country has committed so many crimes against people that if karma is a true law, and you reap what you sow is a true law, and for every action there's a reaction, there's a true law, there's going to be some major changes in this country, and this country's going to have to pay for its crimes against the earth, for its crimes against our people and their own people and other people. And part of that payment can stop at freeing Leonard Peltier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have to keep on focus of what we're doing. And if we change how our nation operates in this situation, how our government operates in this situation, perhaps we can change that law of karma. Perhaps we can start changing it to where our nation becomes a nation that does the right thing instead of talks it, but actually does it. Because this nation has been one fine nation of talking justice and liberty and peace, and has been one big failure at giving justice to our own people, not to mention the people around the rest of the world. And we go all over the world demanding people put forth forms of government that are like our government, and have mercy on them if they do.
4 minutes to talk.
Our government does not tend its people properly. It has not tended this citizen, the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa Indians, properly. It has turned its back on the citizen of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa Indians. It has turned its back on its own laws. It has turned its back on the idea of justice. It's let its national police force become a KGB, just like David said. We have to remember, we are the people. They work for us. We can't let them scare us. We have to stand up to them. Stand up to them, as Ben said, with dignity and with truth. Dignity and truth, I have to believe, will win. And if dignity and truth doesn't win in the end, then we're all in a lot of trouble. But my belief is dignity and truth will win. So I ask you all to contact us at whoisleonardpeltier.info. Contact Ben personally. Contact me personally. You can call the office at Largo at 701-235-2200. They can put you on a way to help. Go ahead.
2206.
Oh, 2206. Excuse me, Kari. Thank you so much. Kari, do you have any closing thoughts about your uncle you'd like to share? We have about 3 minutes.
Or longer. Go ahead.
We all want him back. You know, we all want him home. So, everybody wants him home, I believe. You know,
I think you're right.
Friends and everybody. So.
I'm getting
I think he has a great support system. So many people care about him.
Yeah. Well, the FBI should know his freedom is their freedom too. That's what they know, right?
Well, that's one of the things that I've tried to get agents to do, to listen. I know there's agents listen to our show, Desert, and that's what I've tried to get them to do. Some of the newer agents who haven't bought into the good old boy routine yet, I asked them to go into these 145,000 pages of documents that haven't been released. They have the ability to go into them. Go there and look for yourselves. Look and see if we are not telling you the truth. Look and find the truth there yourselves, and be a person of honor. Be a person who does the right thing. Stand up and fix this injustice. Like Wesley Swearingen says, the ex-FBI agent, he has no doubt that Leonard Peltier was framed. This is one FBI agent who stood up to his good old buddies and said, I know you framed him. This is the same agent that got Geronimo Pratt, a Black Panther who spent 27 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit and was framed by the FBI. This agent found that frame job and got Geronimo Pratt out. That ties into what Ben was talking about a while ago about how the FBI was targeting the Black Panther movement. This all happened at the same time. We have to stop history from repeating itself, and we can do that by going back and fixing what was done wrong. So I ask you all, please, 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 stand up for Leonard Peltier, stand up for your children and your grandchildren, stand up for our people, freedom for Leonard Peltier, America's #1 prisoner. God bless you all tonight for listening. Come back and listen to us again next week. Appreciate all the emails from overseas and all the listeners from overseas. Help Desert out with his network if you can. Dig in your pocket. Send him a little cash at his donate button on the web page. And if you can, reach in your pocket and find $5 or $10 to send to the LPDOC, P.O. Box 7488, Fargo, North Dakota, 58106. The LPDOC, P.O. Box 7488, Fargo, North Dakota, 58106. I want to thank very, very, very much Leonard's niece, Kari Ann for being on with us tonight. Ben Carnes, my brother. David Hill, my brother. I can't imagine two more trustworthy, honorable men to be working at this honorable thing to bring Leonard Peltier home to his people, to bring him home to his family. So I'll let you all have a pleasant evening.
I'd like to just remind people Leonard's prints are available at the website. There are prints for sale. He's a fabulous artist.
You okay?
And that's really, if people could just go see his work, they'd want them.
Right.
On the left-hand side of our page, of the LPDOC page, you will see lithographs. And you can click on them and you can purchase them right there.
Wow.
Also, paintings are we need to raise money for the activities coming and to keep the office operating.
Yeah,
That's all I have. Does anybody else have anything?
Well, Kari Ann, because I interrupted you. I want to give Kari Ann an opportunity to finish. But Kari Ann, also, could you get me one of those best prints that he's done? We'll put it up on our website to promote, his freedom.
Sure.
Okay, do that, please. And you, I interrupted, so I just want to make sure you got the floor. You got plenty of time. Anything else from your end?
No, I'm good.
You're good. Okay.
I think, Ben, were you going to say something?
Yeah, the one thing I would encourage everyone to do is tonight write a letter, write a card, send it to Leonard, and tell Leonard that you're going to do everything you can in your power to bring him home this year for his birthday. Everyone write those letters.
Right.
Yeah.
And when the prisoners get those letters, take it to a cell, they'll see that that support is still there, and they're going to see it go.
Mm-hmm.
That'll pick your spirits up big time.
It will. Thank you, Wanbli. Thank you, Ben, David.
Thank you,
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Ben.
Good to have you all on.
Leonard Peltier.
So Leonard, hello from me, and we're going to keep hammering. Okay. No final thoughts, no final comment. This is your opportunity. We're still broadcasting. Coming up next, Wellstream Advisor Report. Thank you, Harmon Taylor, for giving us extra time here this evening, and he's coming up next on Legal Reality.